afternoon to you all, and welcome. And particularly, we welcome to those of you who are not campaigning, but you are here because you care. And we also welcome all those who are campaigning, those candidates, because you are willing to serve. And we are here to hear what you want to bring us and make positive change towards the region, and welcome you. And since our time is very tight, so I want to invite all those candidates to stand here, line up, because then all of us can see you, and not your back. And also, as soon as you line up, we'll give you 2 minutes each to state who you are and why we should vote for you. And before I say that, I should also say that thank you to WCCA who organized this. And this organization has been active for 2 decades. And here is the president, Jian Wu. And we wish you best of luck. And once you're elected, don't forget us.
你好. Good afternoon. I am Shannon Weaver, and I am a candidate for mayor in the city of Waterloo. And I've been proud to call Waterloo home for over 25 years. I moved here in 1996 to study economics at the University of Waterloo, and then went on to complete my MBA at Laurier. And I really fell in love with the community, and really fell in love with volunteering and serving the community. And it reminds me of all that I've seen in the community service of WCCA, and all of the time that you volunteer, whether it's your monthly meetings, celebrating birthdays, your seniors club, and all that you do to create a sense of belonging and community in Waterloo. So thank you for all of that. When I started this journey last spring, I really wanted to work across the community to make sure that the priorities set in the campaign were reflective of the needs of the community. And some of the things that I have been hearing include interest in more recreational and parkland services, so how we can create more space for our communities to come together. And I've heard that too from WCCA members around how we can have spaces and places to get together and to be better connected, both in how we get around Waterloo and again the spaces that we share as a sense of community. So those are some important things to me. It's also important in these times when we're all impacted by world events and events around inflation that we take great care in managing the budget and managing the services that we have at the city and the region. And so that will be really important to me as well, especially from my governance and business background. I encourage you to take a look. All the candidates, I believe, have brought materials here, so I hope that you'll get a chance to take a look at that as well. Thank you so much. 谢谢.
你好. First, I would like to thank the Waterloo Region Chinese Canadian Association for making this event happen for its members. So, who is Han for Kitchener? Who am I? I am a Kitchener citizen. I live here in Kitchener. I work here in Kitchener. I have a family here in Kitchener. I would like to see my kids have a good education here in Kitchener. I would like to see my kids have their own families, have affordable housing, and have a better job right here in Kitchener. And then I would like to retire right here in Kitchener. And in the end, when everything is done, I would like to close my eyes for the very last time, peacefully surrounded by my family and friends here in Kitchener. And what I want for myself is what I want, wish and pray the same for all of you and your family. I wish and pray the same for all of us. Even though I was born in the year of the snake, I pray and hope that this year of the tiger continues to bring good fortune to all of us. Remember, following me, care and love has no boundaries. Remember, Khan for Kitchener Mayor. Shishin.
So good afternoon, and I too want to thank the Waterloo Region Chinese Canadian Association. I'm standing behind this podium because I think that's where the live streaming camera is, and I hope this is helping your camera angle.
Yes.
It's really important to remember the region part, and when I'm knocking on doors, some people say to me, I'm not really clear what the area municipalities do, and I'm not really clear what the region does. The regional level of government provides 60% of all the services that you receive as citizens of Waterloo Region. So what we do is really important. And when I look back to my first run for chair in 2018, I have to say I don't think any of us knew what lay ahead. But I have to tell you, I am so proud of Regional Council. I am so proud of our staff because during the pandemic, we dealt with public health, we dealt with the vaccine rollout, but we continued to have the LRT run. We continue to have bus service there. We continue to make sure that social services were there for people who needed them. And we continue to see building units move through the planning process. Late this summer, we tabled our regional official plan. And that is, I think, a very good blueprint for managed growth. There is no doubt that affordable housing, attainable housing, is very important to everybody right across this region. We're all engaged in the needs and what possible solutions there might be for our encampments and our homeless population. Those are all things that the region is deeply involved with and can provide leadership. But there is no doubt that this region it punches way above its weight economically, innovatively, and it's because we all pull together. We are a very, very pragmatic community. And all of these really complex challenges that lay ahead will have to be done with an all-of community response. So I want to thank you for inviting us here today. I am very impressed when I look at the lineup of people that are willing to put their names for it. And I would tell you that for me, elected office has always been about public service. And I believe that this election is about leadership and the ability to bring together a new team that can pull all in the same direction to make sure that there is a diversity of opinion, that there are new perspectives, and that we will come up with the best solutions for the people that live in the Waterloo region. So again, thank you for having me.
Hi, first of all, I would just like to thank all of you for coming out today. It shows that you really care about your community. My name is Kip Saunders. I'm running for Waterloo Mayor, and I also really care about this community. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm not a politician. I'm a small business owner in Uptown Waterloo. I am in the hospitality industry. The margins in hospitality are very small, as I'm sure many of you know. That's what I can bring to the table here. I know how to balance a budget, and I know how to manage a cash flow. We need more of that in City Hall. We need to stop doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting different results. So what I like to do as your mayor is streamline City Hall, the process there, bring more of a vibrant community back to the Uptown and surrounding areas in Waterloo through community programs such as the ones that you guys run so well here. We need more places for our children to play in the parks, for athletics, or with arts. We're going to have a regional arts council with a direct access to the mayor's office, a diversity council, and also a renters council. I'm the only renter who's currently running for mayor of Waterloo, so I understand the strain of the affordable housing crisis and what it's having in our community. So we need to do more to balance the budget, and we need to bring a vibrancy back to the city, and that's what I'm here to help do. So thanks again for coming out, everyone. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Kip Saunders. I'm here for you, and I'm here for Waterloo.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. Oh my goodness, this was very last minute for me. I found out about it today. So thank you to the WCCA community and all of you for coming out. I'm Christina Barros Fernandez, and in short, I stand before you because I really care about our kids. And I think we all really care about our kids, but we can't do that when teachers' voices, students, and parents' voices are being silenced. I, like many, didn't know of the WRDSB until I had concerns with my children's well-being, and then was exposed to the process in which hundreds of constituents were experiencing. Veteran teacher Carolyn Brzezinski was vilified and censored by a majority of our current trustees when she tried to raise alarms about highly sexualized material now available to our elementary school students. Trustee Mike Ramsey was suspended from the board meetings after a majority of trustees voted him out for expressing his views. When Mike was silenced, so was 10,391 people who elected him, along with all the thousands whose his voice represented in the region. After hearing from parents about radical instruction regarding race, trustee Cindy Watson put forward a motion asking for full details on what was being taught. The majority voted her motion down. Why? My mission, if elected as trustee, will be to bring truth, trust, and transparency to the board, where constituents and educators can be confident in the education our students are receiving. I will look to our educators. They hold the wisdom when it comes to knowing what students need in the classroom. I want to build that bridge to gap to ensure that they're equipped with the supports required. And I'll protect our children and their education from political ideologies to ensure a school system where educators teach, parents parent, and students thrive academically and socially. I'll ensure that even contentious issues become opportunities for formative conversations and collaborative action. I believe this is what will build an education system in which all students excel. With a servant attitude and a desire to lead with integrity, I'm honored to be the possible catalyst for these changes. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome again to all the people running for City Council and various positions in local government. My name is Rob Braun. I am running for Ward 1 in Waterloo. I'll give you a brief background and then some explanations to why I'm standing in front of you today. I don't see a cowbell today. I don't see any timer, so you just get the hook when you're ready. The moderator is. On a personal level, professionally, I've worked and lived in KW for 34 years, and I lived in Ward 1 for 32 years. After graduating from the University of Toronto, I began my teaching career in the city of Toronto, and after 4 years, moved to KW. I taught at Kitchener-Waterloo Collegiate, better known as KCI, and for close to 26 years, and I continue to teach in the school system occasionally. I still like it. I still like to be with the kids. I still like doing what I did for many, many years. I was fortunate to combine subject matters that I enjoyed: civics, history, phys ed, and always working with the kids as much as you possibly can. My number one reason for running in this election, this municipal election, is simply put, running for city councillor gives me the opportunity to apply my experiences in community volunteerism on a larger, more exclusive scale that I've done over the years. I've been the president of KW Optimist Club, executive member of the Westdale Community Association, a member of the Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce Regional Discussions Group, and I believe strongly that if you're not in city council, then being a volunteer within the community is the next best alternative. I feel an obligation to run again. I ran in 2018, and I feel an obligation to run again to recognize those that supported me, and I was relatively unknown the first time in 2018. My feeling is, in my judgment, many candidates, too many, run for office, and then if they're not winning, they're gone, and you never see them again. I think that's wrong. If one is serious about working for the community, then one should have an obligation to return, learn, and return. My third reason for running in this municipal election is I would like City Hall to be more attentive to local issues of concern that affect our daily lives. Understanding, of course, that one's preferred issue is another person's difference. However, let us try and concentrate on those issues like speed limits, bike lanes, snow clearing, leaf collection, property taxes, property rights. I know those don't make the headlines, and I know it's not going to be the front headline of the newspaper. But at the municipal level of government, this is as good as it gets democratic-wise. You're representing not your constituents, but your neighbors. I'm your neighbor. I live in your community. Tomorrow, October 24th, please vote Rob Parent, Ward 1, Waterloo City, Waterloo. Thank you.
My name is Hans Roach, and I'm running for City Council for Ward 3. Ward 3 is the north area of Waterloo, considered conservation meadows, Lakeshore North, Lakeshore South. So that's the area that I'm running for. So a little bit about me. Why am I running? I'm running because I want to live. We have a great city. We live a great lifestyle, and I want to make it even better. I believe that my professional and my personal background will really help stimulate the city. And you know what? Like many of you, my parents weren't born in Canada, and I got. In order to assimilate into this country, my parents really got me into community, into athletics, and I'm a former player at Laurier. I'm the president of I've been the president of Waterloo Hockey for 6 years, and involved with hockey for the last 20 years. So I really believe that the importance of really getting community involved is so key. Professionally, I work in the healthcare sector. I work for a global healthcare technology company, and I'm also currently involved in the community. I'm also a trustee with the Catholic School Board. My focus, my reason for running and being on this Catholic School Board is fiscal responsibility. I'm on the budget committee. We have an annual budget of $350 million, and I believe that fiscal responsibility is so important. So there's so many big picture items that we can talk about. Climate change, affordable housing. I really want to be your representative. I want you to hire me to be your city councilor. I want you to talk to your friends that live in conservation meadows and Lakeshore North to vote for Hans Roach, Ward 3. Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, my name is David Kuhn. I am running for school board trustee for the public board in the city of Kitchener. I want to thank first of all the organizers for putting this on today, and all of you here today for being here, and those watching online. School board elections are so important, but they're probably the least, the least voted. So this is my third time running for school trustee, and I'm running because I believe that communication is imperative. Communication is important. Hearing from parents and students and teachers about what is happening within our board, what needs to change, what's going well, and how we can best do that. My experience currently, I work at the University of Waterloo in student advocacy and stakeholder relations, and I'm also chair of KW Accessibility, which is a nonprofit that assists adults with physical disabilities in Kitchener. And I've been in that role since 2015. So I'm used to working with people. I'm a passionate advocate for people with disabilities, of course, but also all people who need support and need help within our community, and that is something that I want to bring to the school board, my experience and my love for our community in Kitchener. Again, thank you all for being here. When you vote tomorrow in Kitchener, please vote David Kuhn for WRDSB trustee. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Val Weekman, and I'm running for mayor's office in Kitchener. One thing that I have to tell you about myself is that bending the truth is the best that I can do. lying comes really hard. And I'm gonna prove it to you. I'm half Chinese. So am I lying? Telling the truth? Well, my wife is Chinese. She's my better half, therefore I'm half Chinese. As you see, even if I want to tell you lies, I can't. It is really hard for somebody that comes from a different background, engineering, to just jump in and try to do something totally different. But somebody has to do it. It takes 8 engineers to screw in a light bulb, not because it's hard, it's because they debate on the best way of doing it and do it forever. Unfortunately, the same thing happens in this council. They sit down and debate everything like a UN. Too much talk is zero action. And whenever they finally take an action, it's the wrong action, and it's in the wrong direction. So what I want to do, I want to mix it up. Let's have some engineers that they know how to walk the walk. Maybe unpolished when it's coming to talking. And then mix them up with some politicians that they know how to talk the talk, but they don't know how to walk. And hopefully the average of 2 is somewhere in the middle, because we don't want to be too far to the left or too far to the right. And if you look at my name on the ballot, you see that my name is right in the middle, 2 before me and 2 after. So the universe is talking to you. You will decide what to do on Monday. Good luck to all of you, and thank you for being here.
Nin Hao. Peter Davis. I am running for Kitchener Ward 10. Wo Shihuan, Chungguorin, Wo Shihuan, I only speak a very little Chinese, but I'm running for Kitchener Ward 10. That's the downtown Kitchener Ward. I'm running because I'm concerned about housing and homelessness in our community. I think that right now, a 1-bedroom apartment in our community is renting at $1,800 for the smallest type of apartment that you can rent. This is impacting students that are coming to our universities. It's impacting senior citizens who are living on fixed income. It's impacting our entire community, the cost of rent. I want to solve homelessness, but I want everybody to also understand that you cannot solve homelessness unless you address market rent housing as well. Because somebody who is on ODSP in our community makes $1,300. Our community cannot afford to subsidize all people that are on ODSP $500 in order to achieve what is currently market rent. There is an absolute shortage of housing in our community. There's an absolute shortage of housing in the province of Ontario and across Canada. So all communities in Canada need to look at intensification as a long-term solution to homelessness. We need to make sure that as our communities grow, we are building enough housing for this generation and future generations. And I think that once you get on board with intensification, then we can start talking about what types of intensification that we want to see. We want to protect trails. We want to protect green space. We want to build a livable community. We want commercial space on the ground floor so that if I'm living in a suburban community in Kitchener, I should be able to walk 5 minutes to get a cup of coffee or to go to a restaurant with my family, right? We want these things, and at the same time as we deliver these things, we can deliver more housing and we can solve the crisis of homelessness in our community. So if you live in Ward 10, please vote tomorrow. Peter Davis, 谢谢。
你好，my name is Shantali. My name is Shantali Unit. I'm running for Region of Waterloo, Council representing Waterloo. Like many people here, I am concerned about housing, homelessness, and growing poverty in Waterloo. I have the background in social work to hopefully address this issue with education behind it. 10 years ago, I moved to Waterloo to pursue my master's in social work and degree I will from Laurier. But my life experience means that I'm an experienced collaborator and I love working with others. on behalf of the regional council, but also to work with federal and provincial levels of government to ensure that we address this issue. I also want to ensure that we build transit that is sustainable, affordable, and accessible to everyone, and promote equal access to community resources across Kitchener, Cambridge, and Waterloo. Lastly, I'm running because I believe that the regional council needs to better reflect the diversity of our community, including men, women, people from diverse cultures, people of different ages, and people of different abilities. I hope that on October 24th, you will vote for me because I'm passionate about this community and I'm passionate about working for you. Thank you.
So, ni hao. My name is Dorothy McCabe. I'm running to be the Sheshan of Waterloo. Did I say that right? The mayor of Waterloo. Sheshan. Sorry. Was it okay? I apologize. So thank you so much for coming here on a beautiful fall afternoon. It's amazing to see so many people inside a building instead of out enjoying the beautiful autumn that we have today. So again, my name is Dorothy. I am running to be mayor of Waterloo because I have the most experience of anyone in the race. I live in Waterloo, over in over in Glasgow Heights too, by Fisher Hallman and University Avenue, with my family. I have two girls who are both taller than me, and my husband, and a very cute dog. But I work for the town of Milton, so I work in municipal government. I work every day with local council, as well as senior corporate leaders. Prior to that, I used to work with Mayor Carl Zare in his last term at the city of Kitchener. So I do government relations as a profession. And I tell you that because I want you to understand that I know how municipal governments work. I know a lot about the issues. I know the stakeholders in our local community, but also across the province and with the federal government. So I really feel that I'm the best position to bring my 15 to 20 years of experience to work right away for Waterloo. I can be elected on October 24th and step into the role on October 25th, or when Dave actually technically vacates the role, and be able to stand up to some of the changes and understand some of the changes that are coming very quickly from the provincial government. So on October 24th, I do ask that you support me because my experience is here. I'm ready to lead right away. I'm ready to work hard for you. And so again, the elections are tomorrow. It's really important. Democracy is really, really important. And I hope you make a plan to vote. Bring your neighbor, bring your kids with you, even if they're little, so that they see that happening. Bring a friend, bring some of your family members, and vote McCabe for mayor. If you want to check out my website, it's mccabeformayor.ca. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, can you hear me? Yeah. Ni hao. How are you? I hope you're not sleeping. I just want to make sure you're awake. I just want to quickly know how many of you are from Kitchener and how many of you are from Waterloo. Anybody from Waterloo? So majority of you are from Waterloo. So that's a good thing. So a lot of people who are running for election, they said great things about Waterloo. But in the case of Kitchener, things will change. From great, it will become good if we don't address the issue. So I'll talk about the issue after I talk more about myself, my background. So my name is Manigandan Nair. My short name is Manny, but I always say I'm not in Manny. I've been in Canada for 22 years, and most part of it in Kitchener. I'm married. I have one wife, two kids. My daughter is in grade 11 and my son is in grade 4. So in 2018, I started an initiative called Namaste Debate, just like something like this, to help encourage good candidates to run for office. We don't need career politicians. We have seen what the mess they have done. It's time to change. Okay, give opportunity to new candidates who raise issues and who also provide solutions to. So one of the top 5 things that I want to talk about is the issues are housing. So housing, there are 2 issues. One is affordability of housing. The other is homelessness. 2 different issues. Affordability of housing means people have money but they still can't buy it. That's a different issue. Homelessness means people don't have money and they can't buy it. The second one is a big issue in Kitchener is drug addiction. Nobody wants to tackle that. The core downtown Kitchener area is a big mess right now. And some of the politicians are also encouraging that because they want to help addiction people, by promoting drugs. I'm of the philosophy that provide rehab, help them move out of the drugs. But right now, just because safe injection site is there, just go and take drugs. I don't support that idea. I strongly support rehab. So drug addiction in Kitchener is a big issue. Poor downtown businesses feel unsafe. There's so many vandalism, theft, and they tell me 99% of the businesses in Kitchener Core downtown told me that when there is a vandalism, the cops come in, they make a report and just go away, no follow through. And no politician want to take this issue seriously. And as a mayor, even though it's not in my direct portfolio, I will raise this issue with the concerned authority, especially the federal government and the police chief here. Waterloo is still better, but I would say if we don't fix things in Kitchener, it will spread across here. The other one is transit. So we talk about climate change, we talk about United Nations and all those things. Simple things, if we do it here, if you look at transit here, like during office hours or even in the evening, we don't have frequent buses here. Between intercities, we don't have frequent bus service between Kitchener and Stratford, Kitchener and London, Kitchener and Hamilton. So I like to see change on that. We need those buses there because that means people will use less of their car. We talk about fossil fuel. But if you don't provide transit, how will people move out of their car? Okay, of course, electric car is coming and probably the future is for hydrogen. The other one I'm proposing is transit on demand. Right now, most of the buses, I say is 20% occupancy in Kitchener. Only if you run around the school area, you will see a lot of students taking those rides. So I like to see transit on demand on that. The other one is environment, but I think a lot of people are standing here, so I just don't want to take a lot of my time. Please visit my site, www.votefornaya.ca. I won't seek your vote. Please read, think, and decide, and vote tomorrow. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Narayana Sukram. For those of you who don't know me, if you are a candidate and if you don't know my name, that doesn't sound good on your end because I'm running for regional chair, so keep an eye on that. I want to say this. When I look at the regional council situation right now, it reminds me of a beautiful flower. But tomorrow, I have a feeling that there's a good chance when we look at the regional council, it might remind us of a garden full of roses. For those of you who don't know me, yes, I have over 1,000 university degrees, so I want people to know that we have to be very mindful and very careful here. Having lots of political experience is a red flag. Because what that means is we don't know what it is like to work with somebody who's homeless. We don't know what it is like to work with somebody who don't know where they're going to have their meal the next day, so to speak. I don't take long, trust me this one. My unique skill that I'm bringing here is the fact that I have what it takes to meet people where they're at. There's a big difference. For example, if I was to be elected tomorrow, I would spend less time in that horseshoe. I will bring the horseshoe to the community. Those are the kind of pieces I would do. If we continue to do what we're doing now, it means that we are going to continuously go in the wrong direction, and that is a problem. I know that they voted for municipal election is not really an exciting one, but I can assure you, if you make the effort, the necessary effort, that can make all the difference.
one vote obviously could make all the difference. I've had that conversation earlier this morning. Again, my name is Narendra Supra, and I encourage all of you to vote. Do know that after tomorrow, regardless of the outcome of the election, I want to make this very clear. My journey in serving the community will continue. The website will be the same. The email address will be the same. Thank you so much.
Neha, thank you so much for coming this afternoon, and thank you to WCCA. I'm Sandra Hanmer, and I'm standing before you seeking re-election in Ward 1 in the city of Waterloo. And Ward 1, for those who are not quite sure where it is Columbia, Fisher-Holman, University, Ira Needles, and back up on Columbia. We were able to do a lot of good things in our first term. COVID hit, and a lot of things were put on hold. So I'm really looking forward to being able to continue to work on issues such as housing that is affordable for those that need housing, making sure that our streets are safe for walkers, for bikers, and for drivers, and also making sure we are hitting our climate change targets of 50% by 2030. So tomorrow, please vote Sandra Hanmer in Ward 1. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bruce Poland, and I'm running for councillor for Ward. Glad to see a lot of Waterloo people here today, so that's fantastic that you're not out enjoying the beautiful weather and you're here to learn about politics, and that's just awesome. So a little bit about me. I'm a professional engineer. I've lived in this city for 30 years, lived in various houses around the city, and currently I'm living downtown, in uptown Waterloo in a condominium development. I used to work in this building, actually. We rented this building for a while. So yeah, professional engineer. I specialized in infrastructure development. I've worked with the city of Waterloo and the region of Waterloo on various roads and buildings during my career. Why I'm running for Ward 7 councillor, I think that uptown Waterloo is a great area. As for those of you that don't know, uptown Waterloo is or Ward 7 is just south of here, just below University, all the way down to Union and over to Weber and to Westmount. So the downtown, or the uptown core as we call it, is a great jewel that the city of Waterloo has spent a lot of time and effort on. And I'd like to continue that development. I have a strong background in development, and I think I have a strong background in engineering and professional skills that the city of Waterloo will benefit from. So I'm hoping that tomorrow that you all get out and vote. And for those in Ward 7, Bruce Poland, I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Beth Warren. I am running for City Council for Ward 9 in Kitchener. Ward 9, also known as the home of Victoria or Willow River Park, and the encampment. Right now, that is the majority of the questions I'm getting from people. How can we get these people out of the park? And I don't think it's fair to call them the homeless, these people. I'm probably the only person running who has essentially been homeless at one point. When I tried to move back to Kitchener about 12 years ago, I couldn't afford anything here. And that was 12 years ago. We're about 5 years from being another downtown Toronto with our homelessness problem and with affordable housing. There's the huge building going up, the Mets on Mill Street at the old Schneider site. It's supposedly going to have approximately 2,800 units, and maybe 100 of those units are going to be affordable housing. The rest will all be market value. We need to do something. We're in a crisis, we're in a housing crisis, and something needs to be done. That's why I'm running. I don't think enough is being done. Thanks. I'm trying to keep it to the 2 minutes.
Hello everyone. Ni hao.
My name is Matthew Schwartz. I'm running to represent Ward 6 in the city of Waterloo. And I'm running because I think Waterloo is a great place to live. It's the place I'm choosing to settle down for the coming decades with my partner, Catherine Dong, at the back. And I want to do my part to make it even better. I came to Waterloo a number of years ago. My family's originally from Waterloo, so my grandparents and my relatives all live across the region. But I think the city of Waterloo is a great place to live, but we've got a number of issues that are a big concern for residents right now. The biggest thing that I hear at the door is talking about the cost of living, particularly the cost of housing. I think there's a lot of cities who would make progress on the issue, and a lot of different options. Things from townhomes, low-rise buildings, and all the options in between that make for a comfortable place to live. It's human scale and affordable. I also care about keeping up with our long-term sustainability and climate action commitments, so make progress on that in the long term and put in the sensible short-term investments that really get us there. I also care about transportation infrastructure. It's important that you're able to get around the city safely, quickly, and comfortably. And as we continue to expand the active transit infrastructure in the city, so you feel comfortable walking, biking, or driving, no matter what works for you, that's what I'd really like to see prioritized. I think Waterloo is a great place to live. I came here a number of years ago. I thought I'd come for my school education. I'd get my university degree, and I'd get out of here and get a job somewhere else. But I've really fallen in love with the city. In my time here in Waterloo, I've been involved in the community in a number of ways. During my undergrad, I took 16 months off. I worked with the Student Association, where I managed a multi-million-dollar budget, and I worked with the city all the time on issues that were important to the members that I represented. Over the last 2 years, I've also been on a committee of City Council, the Economic Development Committee, worked with the mayor, a number of other city councilors, and a number of other involved citizens on issues relating to economic development, supporting the small businesses here in Waterloo that are a thriving part of our community and our economy. And these are all experiences I'm bringing with me forward and things I really hope to be able to continue to support as Ward 6 City Councilor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ni hao. Thank you. I'm Debbie Chapman. First, I'd like to thank the organizers for holding this event. I was here in 2018, and it's nice to see some familiar faces. So I'm the city councilor in Ward 9 in Kitchener, going for re-election. And I bring considerable knowledge and experience as a city councilor, but also as a member of many advisory committees and boards that I've participated on in the city. I decided to run it again because I thought that I could build on the progress that we've made over the past 4 years. There are still several unfinished projects that are important to Ward 9 residents and to the city at large. So for example, we started what's called a Places and Spaces strategy, which will bring much needed parkland into the downtown area of Kitchener, but it hasn't yet been finalized. So I hope to see that to fruition. The updating of the downtown and major transit station area zoning bylaws. Again, a very important component of city business that will determine what can be built on every property in the downtown core, and will create that vision that we as residents and as city council would like to see. The implementation of an inclusionary zoning bylaw, which we have not adopted, but which will aid in the creation of the much needed affordable housing stock that we so much need. The passing of a bylaw on banning conversion therapy throughout the whole city. We've had some progress in that, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And the advancement of the Community Climate Action Plan goals. So these are just some of the few things that I think that I would like to be part of in the next 4 years. Of course, the affordable housing crisis is our biggest challenge. All levels of government have a responsibility, including the city. And I will continue to work with not-for-profit organizations, community groups, and other levels of government to get people housed. I'm a firm believer that housing is a human right. I've had an open door policy over the past 4 years, and will continue to welcome your feedback and comments. I hope I can count on your support as Ward Councillor and Ward 9 Councillor Kitchener, so that together we can create a more affordable, equitable, and sustainable city for all. My website is www.debbiechapman.ca. And thank you for...
Thank you, Debbie. Ni hao, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to be here with all of you amongst many friends who are so familiar. And I really want to begin by thanking Jane and all of the volunteers with the WCCA, not only for organizing today's event, but in fact for all of the great work that you do in the community to keep the Chinese culture so much alive, whether it's culture, whether it's through athletic activities and more. As you know, we're in the midst of a municipal election, and I'm Barry Verbanovic, the mayor of Kitchener and running for re-election after serving the past 2 terms, and here asking for your support once again to continue the great work that we've been able to do over the past 8 years to build a better Kitchener. Over the election, I've heard a number of things that are important to residents. Number one, the importance of affordability and dealing with housing and homelessness. And if you take a look at my platform, there's a number of ideas that will build upon the things that we have done already, building upon the foundation of the Housing for All strategy that we actually approved at the City of Kitchener this year. Secondly, we heard that sustainability, climate change, and the environment is so important. And that truly is. In fact, when we looked at the environic survey that we did as a city, that came out as a priority. And as a community, we need to make sure we're meeting the commitments that our country and the countries of the world have made towards the Paris Agreement around climate change. And finally, continuing to ensure that Kitchener and all of Waterloo region continues to be one of the top growth communities from economic growth, as we have been, is so vital and important. And that's why we've developed a Make It Kitchener 2.0 economic development strategy, and why we'll continue to do that and prioritize that going forward, building on the work that we've done. When I look at the slide on the screen, it says together better. And that is so true about everything in Waterloo region. And I believe by voting Barry Verbanovic again, we will continue to work together to build a better community. And so today I'm asking for you to put strong leadership, proven experience, and thoughtful progress back to work for you. Vote Barry Verbanovic tomorrow. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to all my candidates, fellow candidates who have been here. And I ask for your support. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Massamy, and I'm running for a Ward 5 councillor in Kitchener. My background's Italian, so I'm going to say buongiorno to everyone. And I'm the child of Italian immigrants, and I've helped my dad when he started his new business when he first came to Canada. So I have a heart for small business. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at focusing on within Ward 5. The other thing is, and I don't think the other candidates have this credential, I spent 10 years as a pastor, and I worked for and with individuals that were street involved, as well as young people out of special education classes. So through the congregations that I did work with, we helped house people through the repurposing of our church buildings, as well as finding spaces for people to recreate, especially in areas where there wasn't places for people to gather. After being a pastor, I worked at United Way for a number of years, and I was the manager of community development, overseeing 78 programs. Following that, I worked for our good mayor as a supervisor of community centers. And through that, I had a team of 38 staff. And over the pandemic, we were still able to provide programming to our community, which was an amazing feat. Currently, I'm a professor at Laurier. I teach a class in community development. I got my doctorate in Chicago, and I worked with a man named John McKnight, who created the approach called asset-based community development. It focuses on the strengths of the community, not its weaknesses. And I believe a community needs to work from its strengths, from strength to strength. We're gathered here today, not because a politician gathered us. It's because of the work that you put in as a community. These banners that I see with all these various clubs and initiatives weren't because of politicians. It was the power of community. And that's what I believe in. How do we empower our community? And how do I, as your leader, as a ward councillor, come alongside you and support you and not get in the way? My grandfather had a saying, he goes, politicians like to, and I can use an Italian term, I'm sorry, paparia. It means duck around. Quack, 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 quack. We like to quack a lot, but we don't tend to like to get to the solutions. And I believe that being a counselor is not just about politics and giving your opinion, it's also about governance. How do we take those opinions and bring them to action? And lastly, I know 2 minutes, I saw the wipe. Lastly, we do have great initiatives in Kitchener. We do have great strategies. But one thing I would like to bring forward is, it's good to have great strategies. How do we evaluate them and see the impact they are having on people's lives? I work toward having a positive impact on people's lives, not just having programs and services. It's about how are we changing individuals? How are we connecting people? Because our well-being is based on who are we connected with and the communities in which we find ourselves. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Just let me start with a question. How many of you saw this sign on the streets? Nobody? That's bad. Yeah, so my name is Khalid Gurbash. I'm running for City Councilor, Ward number 2. So the reason I'm running, I believe that the most qualified with credential guy to run for this position and to circulate better as a Ward 2 and as a city at large. So I come with 30 years of experience in architecture and urban planning, so that's my profession. I think that's what we need when we plan our city for the future and we design our building to become a sustainable building and smart buildings too. So I have the expertise in this area. I think nobody has in other candidates for this council. And also I have another PhD from University of Waterloo in asset and construction management. I think that's what we need. This is very good expertise and experience we need to run our city and manage it in the most cost-effective and efficient way. At the same time, we can lead the stuff to have better services of the city as a whole. And also have another master degree from University of Waterloo in public service, which makes me a good candidate when designing some policies, develop some policies, and oversee the staff also under the council decision. And I worked like about 20 years as a public servant with the Civil Aviation Authority. So I want to bring all this expertise to the council so we have more diverse background, and also I can link those my 4 different expertise in my work and in council discussions and also and supervising and dealing with staff. So hopefully tomorrow you vote for me, and thank you for coming.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for your time. My name is Rob Evans. I'm running to be mayor of Waterloo. I'll stay from so this election is an opportunity to work together, to bring communities together. This election is about leadership, the values of the school we're standing in here, about caring, about guiding each other, helping each other, and about leadership. I was first in China when I was 20 years old. When I was 21, went to Hong Kong. I explored. I was there for many months. It was an amazing experience that changed my life in incredible ways. It showed me the diversity of the world and how when we come together as a community, that's when we all win. My career, I've spent a lot of time working across the federal government, promoting Canadian values, and promoting those values to help bridge connections with our Chinese community, with other communities as well. That's my work across the federal government. Working with Ontario government, I've been a board director across several pan-regional groups as a subject matter expert in ICT, clean technology, and other areas of our economy, promoting economic development and prosperity across our communities. I'm on 2 city committees that, again, help bridge the gap between our academic communities and with our students. We're here today at a school because students matter and families matter. I have a 13-year-old son. He's the reason why I'm running to be mayor of Waterloo. Our children's generation is why most of us do anything, or at least it should be. Things like climate change, things like bringing our values together as a community. I see there are several clubs here represented for sports and music. I played soccer. I played classical violin growing up. These are different parts of my background, and I welcome the diversity that represents from just the folks sitting here in this room, the families that are involved in the school that we're visiting, as well as the WCCA Association to bring these communities together. These are the reasons why I'm running to be Mayor of Waterloo. You can learn more about the simple and specific solutions that we have as our policies at robevansmayor.ca. We have equity and housing as our top priorities. These are things that we're going to do when I'm Mayor of Waterloo. Thank you.
At this point, let's thank all the candidates for their passionate statements. And I'm sure that all of us have identified our candidates, and we will vote for that. And once you are elected again, don't forget us. I won't. And we have 10 minutes left for Q&A. And I want to invite all those mayoral candidates to come to the podium. And if anyone in the audience has any question, please stand up. Since I'm hosting this meeting, and I happen to be a city policy scholar, one thing I didn't hear from any of you, unfortunately, is elder care. Canada is aging, Waterloo region is aging too. So I want to hear from you, what's your idea of how to make our lives better? Our meaning, me included.
I can start if you want. Okay. So it's Dorothy McCabe. I'm running for Mayor of Waterloo. Really great question. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And I assume you want us to just be really brief. So a couple of things that are in my platform that relate to seniors, but accessibility in general, is that I believe that at the City of Waterloo, we need to revisit and look at snow clearing in the winter, because that's not having sidewalks properly cleared, sidewalks and other entrances properly cleared is a real hazard. It contributes to slips and falls, and particularly for seniors. That's a slippery slope, if you will, to many other challenges. But it's an accessibility issue, whether you're at any age. So phasing in some sidewalk snow clearing, I think, is a key priority of mine. I also have proposed for seniors who are experiencing trouble with some affordability that we have a deferral of their property taxes until such a time that they would sell their property. So I'll stop there and pass it. Oh, you want to go?
Yes, I recently met Joanna at a building, and she said to me that her rent is going to increase by $1,700 per month next year, and her pension is not going to cover it, and she was really crying about going into homelessness. She said, am I going to end up in Victoria Park just like everybody else? Why doesn't anybody care about a senior? This is what she said. And she also said that one of her friend's grandchildren said that, you know what, you seniors are taking away all our resources, it's better that you die. And she was crying. So what I'm saying is, this is a reality happening in our Kitchener. People who are senior, the expenses, the inflation, everything is very high, and people are scared genuinely. So we need to teach our grandchildren, our children, that, you know what, from seniors you learn. They have experienced everything. You need to learn from them. And number two is, we really need to take care of this rent issue. We really need to work with the city, with the federal, with the provincial. We need to ask them that, hey, we need to bring these things down or increase their income. There is no other way. That's what I believe, and I told Joanna that even if I don't win, I gave her my number and said, whenever you're out there, I will be there with you and we will talk about it. We need to take care of our seniors. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. The issue of elder care is one that affects everybody. My family lives in this community, so do my grandparents. Elder care is something that we talk about because it affects each of us in different ways. What we don't want to have happen is our family being taken from us. Should there be not space available in a home, in a long-term care facility or a retirement home facility? Affordability affects everybody in different ways. There's one person up here who's a housing and accommodation expert. I founded a software company in the space. We have some innovation that's going to bring new beds and new rooms available and help lower the cost for accommodation for older folks and for families. I'm going to continue just to finish off. Thank you. This is something I'm very passionate about. This is something that we all can do a better job of, and innovation is the solution because we know what the last 2 years has been like for our families who've struggled through COVID, families who've been forced to stay separated from their families. So, innovation is the solution. And as Rob Evans Mayor, we're going to bring more beds available. We're going to do everything possible to work with a collaborative way to solve the affordability crisis and to work with our councils to be sure that affordability does not prevent our families from staying together. Thank you.
We're ready to another Waterloo candidate. Again, I'm Shannon Weaver, running for Mayor of Waterloo. And there are a variety of ways that my priorities actually address this issue. So on housing, and I've learned this from canvassing thousands of doors, the number of families that need support to help their seniors age in their home with dignity and care. And part of the priority around modernizing our zoning bylaw will be to look at ways that we can help to support that we can help multi-generation families to age in place and be supported by their families. Another project that I've been part of, and I'm really excited, I know some other candidates here, some incumbents have also been a part of, is the Joint Hospital Working Group. We've been looking at a new hospital which would be located in this area and working closely with the boards of both St. Mary's General Hospital and Grand River Hospital. And I think that's going to be part of the solution because we're missing a number of important acute care services in our community. And the last thing we want to do if we need to get healthcare services is to have our family members have to travel more than an hour away for care. So that's something else that is very important. And of course, in my experience in working with the provincial government, it will also be important to me as a mayor who advocates for Waterloo to make sure that we advocate for great senior services, including long-term care services in our community. Thank you.
Hi, once again, I'm Kip Saunders. I'm running for Mayor of Waterloo. And I'm glad that this question was brought up because we do need to be thinking more about elder care. And I'm advocating for a new hospital to be built in Waterloo with more beds so that we can serve our seniors better in that respect. In addition, this all comes back to the affordability crisis with housing. We need to get the rents under control, and we need to build more affordable units for our elders to live in. The thing that's not getting talked enough about is accessibility when we're building these new affordable housing units. They're not much good to us if they're not accessible to us, right? So we need to concentrate and focus on also the accessibility when we're dealing with the affordable housing crisis, and that will help the senior community, I believe. Thanks, Kip Saunders.
Thank you very much for the question, and this is something that's very near and dear to me because, in fact, just before I came here, I was at the long-term care home where my mother is. She's 94. I was able to ensure that she stayed at home until she was 92, until she had a stroke. And fundamentally, that is the best place for our older adults to be, is to be at home with supports from family, supports from community health and so on, because they will thrive the best when they're at home, engaged in community activities and engaged with family. But then we also need to ensure that the supports are there when they get to a point in life as they need it. And working together with Karen and others at the region, we've been able to advocate to the provincial government for more long-term care beds here in Waterloo region. We've been able to advocate, as you heard, for the $5 million strategic money around building a new hospital for Kitchener-Waterloo so that we can support older adults. And through the region, we've also approved 2,500 new affordable housing homes over the next 5 years. Part of those focus specifically to older adults because we recognize that that's a portion of the community where there is significant need, and we want to make sure that our older adults are looked after. I came as a young immigrant child to Canada from a culture that truly values older adults, and I know that that is true for many of you here in the room as well. And so it's really important that this is a focus for all of us going forward. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
One size fits all is not the solution. You know, sometimes you have to measure twice before you cut once. If you are in a quicksand, stop moving. If you are on a bike and hitting a mud patch, do not slow down. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck. So we have to figure out what's going on. We know that Canada is aging. My kids, they tell me that. I don't have kids. So if Canada is aging, who's going to work and whose taxes am I going to spend when I'm old? We have to bring talents from all around the world. We have to make sure they come here and they innovate and that they create good jobs. And those jobs, they're going to have taxes we collect, and then we take care of our senior citizens. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mani Nair. My short name Manigandan Nair. I'm running for Mayor of Kitchener. Probably, I think I'm the only candidate who has put senior care on my website priorities. So one of the suggestions I made is, if there is any senior with one income holder, look at the option of reducing their property tax rebate. I'm the only one. You can check that senior care on my website. The other one is, I just want to, it's a cultural issue also. So I'm from India. And I believe we can learn a lot from the Chinese, Indian, and South Asian community to see that kids look after their parents. Right now, the culture we have here is after, let's say, 18 and above, I don't see kids taking full responsibility of the parents. They are basically, after a certain age, they are put in long-term care is totally different thing, but they are put in senior care. I think there is a moral obligation of today's kids, because tomorrow the same kids will become senior. So I like the Indian, Chinese, and the South Asian system of kids looking after their parents after a certain age. In India, I can tell you right now there is a law which says that kids are bounded to support their parents economically. Because you have to remember, when the kids were growing up, the same parents were supporting them. So there is something we can incorporate in terms of the cultural value here. But we can't expect the government to look after everyone. There is always a limitation of that, right? And as far as senior care is concerned, most likely this falls under the provincial and federal jurisdiction. City has not much leverage on this because most of the funding has to come from provinces. Anybody who claims that city can fix this issue, they are just simply lying there. All you can do as an elected representative and as a leader is lobby with provinces and federal and get more money. But I see the kids should look after their parents. That will solve at least 60 to 70% of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you all for your great ideas. Hope once you're elected, we can work together. And let's invite you, Brad, question.
My name is Li Jianong, and I'm representing the Kitchener-Waterloo Chinese Students Association. I myself is a PhD student at the University of Waterloo. So our primary concern is the student housing issue. So as we all know, we are facing a severe shortage of student housing in the area, especially around the university campus. And to make things worse, there are some big renting companies that are taking advantages of the students. For example, I have a friend who rents a house And by the time he left, the renting company charged him $1,000 cleaning fee. And there are also some companies who are definitely willing to refund the renting deposit to the students. So can I ask you, do you have any plan on these kind of issues? Thank you very much.
I'll start. Sorry, again, hello, I'm Shannon Weaver, running as a candidate for Mayor of Waterloo, and I'm so glad that you raised that question. It has been a challenge since I was a student leader at the University of Waterloo, and we continue to, as we grow, have to look at how we evolve different policies in the way that we help to support safe and affordable student housing. So one thing I would like to do in my term as mayor is to review the rental housing bylaw and ensure that it's not creating any barriers, some of which you've spoken to. I think another big part, and it's really meaningful to me, especially because of, I'm sorry, this is probably hard for me here. I hope you can hear me okay. You need the microphone. Okay. We'll do our okay. Sorry. So what I was going to say is, as someone who has worked in the capacity in town and gown relations, we call it in the city of Waterloo, but working closely with student leaders and students at all of our institutions, I think it's really important to continue to have very regular open dialogue to look at some solutions together, so that it cannot be an adversarial relationship between the city and our students. We are all part of the community. We want to make sure our students feel safe, that they feel a sense of belonging, and that they can be supported in a time when they have many, many pressures of studying and pursuing their dreams with their academics. So that's something I'll be very committed to, and I hope that we'll get to work more together.
Thank you very much.
So thanks very much for the question. It's a really important one, given that we have 50 to 60,000 students living in Waterloo. So a number of things. I mean, there's a variety of ways to tackle this challenge. One of them is that the city, I don't believe at this point in time, is actually doing a great job enforcing some of the bylaws and the licensing rules that are in place. So I think we really need to take a look at what's already in place, how we do a better job of working with staff to make sure that the accommodations that students have are safe, and are, that people are abiding by the rules and regulations with them. We need to look at the landlords that are involved and see who are actually absentee landlords and who are actually some landlords who live in our community who are irresponsible and in some ways unethical. We need to take a serious look at that. There's no question. I think between the universities and the college and the relationship with the city, we have heard that I have heard certainly in the conversations I've had with the presidents of the university that we do need to have, we do need to change some of the conversation from, strictly talking about things like the St. Patrick's Day party and actually tackle some of these issues, because working together, I believe that we really can. A couple of other things just on the accessibility for students to come here, because students are really important to the city of Waterloo, and they're important to the region of Waterloo as well. And we want them to stay. We want those bright minds to stay. We want them to come here from wherever they're coming from and stay and contribute to our economy and the growth of Waterloo from now until long into the future. But a couple of other things that we can work on to ease a bit of the housing pressures are to increase some of the transit linkages between the GTA, Toronto GTA, and Waterloo. We need to work with the Metrolinx. I have a great deal of experience working with Metrolinx, particularly on the two-way all-day GO rail issue, to increase service. I mean, you've seen students lined up on Friday afternoons trying to get back to the community. We really need to take a look at adding more service there, and as well bringing people in interregional. So there's a number of different ways we can work on this. I think student voice is really important, and look forward to working with you. Again, my name is Dorothy McCabe, running for mayor of Waterloo. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for a very important question. Chinese Students Association
is a very big part of our student community here across Conestoga College, at the University of Waterloo and Laurier. 1/3 of residents within our community are students. Students are very important, and we've been taking them for granted. What you've heard, some of you today, are some old-fashioned ideas of dealing with a growing problem that has not been getting better. There are many good landlords and good owners in town who take good care of their tenants, but not all of them. So there's a very simple and specific plan to address this. It involves alignment of rental bylaws and standards, as well as being proactive. By the time somebody has a terrible experience, it's reactive. They need to deal with the landlord-tenant board. They need to go with the school. So John Tibbetts, VBAC at the University of Waterloo, and Deb, we've been working with all of the universities to solve this problem in a simple and specific way. It's called equity in housing. It brings fairness to housing markets by pre-approving the rooms that are safe and trusted, and pre-approving tenants, because there's one thing that not everybody's ready to talk about, and I am. It's the discrimination that's been happening in the rental markets and with students. Students are paying 25% more for the same square footage that my family would stay in, or that many of yours would look like too. And paying 25% more is inappropriate. It's not fair. So the equity in housing plan, you'll see it, robevansmayor.ca. It's very simple and specific, and it solves the crisis problem and lets us focus on the ongoing needs of our student community. That's what we'll do when I'm mayor of Waterloo. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll be very realistic, what's happening in the market. Because as a politician or as an elected representative, as a leader, you need to see what is coming. I've been talking about housing issue for 6-7 years. You go to my social media account and I've been tagging all the politicians. Right? Smoke, smoke, smoke. Right now there is a fire, it's a big election issue. As far as the student housing is concerned, it's part of the same household, housing issue. It's a major issue. So right now what I'm seeing right now is trend, because I talk to students every week. Right now we are seeing a mass immigration and mass student immigration from different countries, right? Students want to come to Canada, have a better life, but our infrastructure is not ready. One of the major issue with the infrastructure not ready is the immigration is part of the federal government. The federal government need to coordinate with provinces and city and let them know that next year we're going to have this many students and this many people coming here. Are you ready? Do we have the housing infrastructure or not? But right now we have really a lot of people coming here and less houses being built. You'll go to the hospital like 3 to 8 hours wait time. We won't be able to fix this issue short term. The solution is if people already who have housing, they can basically, we should allow them to have additional unit so that we increase capacity. So that requires a bylaw changes. So personally, if I'm elected as mayor, and I think this was also recommended as part of the provincial strategy, allow homeowners to increase the number of rooms or the units so that more people can be rented. The other one is the rental market has become a big business. So I know a lot of families who have 3-bedroom house, instead of giving rental to one family, they like to give it to now 5 to 10 students, because each student pay $500. It's like $5,000. And $2,000 goes to the mortgage, $3,000 is the profit. So as long as this stays, we won't be able to fix, but we need to increase the housing inventory. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We already spent half an hour of their party time. There's a birthday party coming up. So you are all welcome to stay and mingle around and probably find new friends. And meantime, since this is a very rare opportunity that so many of our candidates, outstanding ones, are here, so we want to record this moment. So please, let's welcome all those candidates to the podium, and we want to have our photographer to take a picture.